Our reporter was in court. We join her live outside the Palais de Justice in Paris. Claire, good evening to you. A second outburst then from Abdeslam, risking contempt of court perhaps. What was he claiming?
Well, he got up, stood up, went to the microphone uninvited and started trying to defend three of his co-defendants. He said that men were innocent until proven guilty, telling the presiding judge that three of his co-defendants had no idea who he was, and when they helped him, two of those three actually drove to Paris from Brussels on the morning after the attack, picked up Abdeslam and took him back to the Belgian capital. He claims that people in the Molenbeek neighborhood where he grew up in Brussels are extremely generous and help each other out, and that these men had no idea what had been going on in Paris and had no idea what Abdeslam had been doing. The presiding judge had to come down quite heavily at that point. He not only suspended the hearing, he also said quite clearly to Salah Abdeslam, look, you've had 5 years to express yourself. You've not cooperated with investigators. You've maintained your right to stay silent. That's absolutely your right to do so. We can talk about this, but right now is not the time. When we'll interrogate you later in the debates, it'll be your chance to talk. But right now, they were looking at a very technical issue to do with a civil plaintiff, nothing to do with what Salah Abdeslam was saying, and he'd chosen a moment basically to try to steal the show, and the presiding judge had to put a stop to it.
Indeed, in an English court, I think he'd be held in contempt and taken down, but obviously this is France, the laws are slightly different. Claire, for the victims who survived, for the survivors, for those who lived through what happened that night, victims of the evil project mounted, the prosecution say, by Salah Abdeslam. This all must be extremely difficult to hear. It's like rubbing salt in their open wounds, isn't it? How do you think this will be dealt with going forward by the trial judge?
Well, the difficulty he's facing is that he could make the decision to expel Salah Abdeslam, perhaps just for a temporary period of time, during, for instance, weeks or days when his presence is less necessary. But that actually would be a pretty big decision, and one the presiding judge would probably rather like to avoid. I have been speaking to victims today who told me that yesterday's outbursts were extremely distressing. They felt quite uncomfortable with how aggressive Abdeslam was. But today, they actually felt that the presiding judge, Jean-Louis Perriez, dealt with it well. They felt that he handled it calmly. He was firm. He's maintaining order in the courtroom. You know, this is an experienced judge. He's 65 years old. This will probably be his last major trial before he retires. He knows what he's doing. His challenge now, and everyone's challenge, of course, is to not offer Salah Abdeslam a platform, because that's what he wants. He wants a way to air his views, and the challenge is to not allow him to do that. The platform that he's looking for cannot be in the courtroom.
Claire Paccalin at the trial at the Palais de Justice in Paris there of Salah Abdeslam and the other alleged accomplices in the terror attack of November the 13th, 2015 here in Paris. Claire, thank you very much indeed.